call the meeting to order. This is Rules and Open Government Committee meeting for February 6, 2013. Any changes to our agenda order? None. Then let's take up the February 12th draft agenda. Page 1, continue with our 9 a.m. start at closed sessions. Anything else on page 1? Page 2 or 3. Ceremonial items, we have 3. I noticed last time it was well after 2 o'clock when we got done with the ceremonial items, so I think we got to start thinking about limiting it to 3 ceremonial items.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's do that until we decide elsewise. Anything else on page 1, 2 or 3? Page 3 or 4 or 5? Page 6 or 7? We also have the Joint Financing Authority agenda, 1 page regarding the commercial paper program. I have some requests for ads, an excused absence for Councilmember Herrera due to illness for yesterday. Councilmember Liccardo's travel to Washington, D.C. And then Elections Commission interviews.
We'd like a sunshine waiver on the interviews. We're still compiling the list, and we'd like a time certain.
Mayor?
Right. So, Councilmember Oliverio.
Yeah, I'd like to have item 3.7 heard last, and then have the Election Commission interviews not before 3 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, 3.7 is the Prop 8 amicus brief question last. I think that works. Not before 3 o'clock for the Election Commission interviews.
And just to make things fun, I'd offer to have the Financing Authority right after the consent calendar.
Okay.
And of course, so a motion to, with those changes, with the additions and the sunshine waiver for the Election Commission item 3.x.
Second?
Thank you. How many election, you don't know how many election commissioners we're going to interview, do you, at this point?
I think it's 4. There's 2 positions open. But we're taking the top. I think it's 3 or 4. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, so it'll take an hour. Typically, for 4 people, is roughly an hour to budget.
Yeah.
That okay? I have 1 request to speak. Mr. Wall.
Good afternoon, sir. Before we get started, I would like to wish a happy birthday to Vice Mayor Nguyen's daughter, Olivia. I know she's sitting at home watching her mom work for the city, and it's an awful tough thing for a 1-year-old not to be out at the beach because her mom has to work helping out everybody in the city. I'd like to see item 3.4 stricken from the agenda and not even funded. Sir, I think you have enough experience to know what the community wants instead of funding an outside research group to come in. These people never even called me, you know, after all these years. They don't even call me. So this is a really strange budget survey group, and I just get rid of it. On the labor negotiations update, I would suggest that you refloat the attorneys' salaries to be commensurate with the top flight law firm, as well as a 3-year contract with the fire department with 10% for all 3 years. I don't think the fire department should be taking a 6% pay cut at all. I think we need to retain our firefighters, and I think we need to pay them so they can afford to live in San Jose, and I think a 3-year contract at 10% per year would be probably acceptable to them. Thank you.
That concludes public testimony. We have a motion to approve with the changes. Sunshine waiver on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unopposed? That's approved.
Yes.
February 19th meeting canceled due to the holiday. So we'll turn to the upcoming study session agenda, which is for Monday. We have a agenda, 7-item agenda. Any questions or comments on that? I think we've already approved this agenda, so we don't need to take any further action. So
this actually would be the first action to approve the agenda.
okay, then we'll need a motion.
Motion to approve, and I just wanted to, from the understanding of item 5, is simply an update on where we are in ordinances and not choosing new ones that we
Correct.
don't have the bandwidth to do.
Yep,
Thank you.
That was Per our discussion, I think last week or the week before, that's the intention, to carry that out. We have a motion to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. That's approved. Anything on legislative update? Nothing. Nothing on meeting schedules. The public record. Anything the committee would like to pull from the public record for discussion? We have one request to speak on the public record. Mr. Wall.
Sir, with reference to only 2 items that are on the public record A and B, are referenced by an encampment I've named after you and Councilmember Liccardo called Camp Chuck Sam over by the airport. Sir, this encampment is growing daily, and these are God's children. They're our fellow citizens for the most part. They have no way to get rid of sewage, no way to clean themselves. They urinate and defecate in public. They cluster themselves in little clusters of tents, in which I call vagrant urban villages. But they're God's children, all right? They're our citizens in plain view of everybody. And I think it's past time that the city is permitting this. There's no doubt that they're permitting this encampment under the flight path of the airport, where there used to be homes, but the homes were eminent domain and crushed because of the airport. So, sir, I would advise you to take time out of your day to go out there and look at these encampments, and don't go out there without the police presence, because it can be dangerous and a little salty out there. I will say this much on neighborhood watch: even at nighttime, I've never seen a fire out there, so I don't know how these people are keeping themselves warm. I'm very concerned about communicable diseases. These people could easily get lice. Who knows what else they can get out there, but it's a bad situation for them, and I think that the city needs to either declare a state of emergency and ask the National Guard to come in to help out, or some other form of assistance for these people that are out there. And Mr. Mayor, this is growing daily. Thank you.
That concludes the public comment on the public record. Is there a motion?
A motion on file.
Second.
We have a motion to note and file on the motion. All in favor? Opposed? None. I think we have nothing under boards, commissions, and committees category. Rules Committee review, recommendations and approval. Request to approve District 5 Neighborhood Association Appreciation Dinner as a city-sponsored event.
Motion to approve.
May I just a question real quick?
Okay, have a question?
In the memo, it says that the event's going to take place on January 25th. Did this happen already, or is that a mistype? Is that a typo?
I believe it has happened already.
Okay.
Occasionally, we do get these late.
Okay. Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve retroactively, I guess. Since the event's already happened. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. That's approved. Another request to approve the District 1 Annual Greek Flag Raising Event as a city-sponsored.
Second.
Motion is to approve that as a special event. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. That's approved. My request to agendize for February 12th, a resolution appointing representatives to the Habitat Conservation Agency. Just need to add that to the agenda with a recommendation for the appointments.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion is to approve my requests on that. Mr. Wall, want to speak?
Yes, sir. I am very much concerned about putting a new council member on this Habitat Council. This Habitat plan, it's well known that this plan is flawed. This is going to bring in a ton of lawsuits. And further on in today's soiree, we will see the hypocrisies associated with the Habitat plan with the next few items. I wouldn't know what to do. I'd put your enemies on this this agency. I wouldn't put good people. Find people you don't like in the city and put them on it. I'd put city manager, the assistant city manager, ESD people, put them on it. Because when the public finds out what this plan is all about, I think there'll be a storming of the Bastille. I really do. And so, for your own sake, sir, put people that you want to get rid of in government on there, and it'll be easier once this tragedy becomes well known. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion is to approve my requests on that. Mr. Wall, want to speak?
Motion approved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve retroactively, I guess. Since the event's already happened. On the motion, all in favor? Includes the public comments. We have a motion to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unopposed? That's approved. And we have two items dealing with the incentive programs that we have previously approved. One is I got a memorandum on the North San Jose traffic impact fee, asking that to be put on the council agenda for February 12th. And then we have a request from Councilmember Liccardo and myself regarding the high-rise incentive program change, although there's no date request on that. Does staff have an opinion on the dates on either of those?
I don't know if we can do it by the 26th, but it would be either the end of this month or early March. The reason is the first item, which is the clarification of the word permit, that requires an ordinance amendment, so we'll have to bring back an ordinance amendment. But I think we're going to try to shoot for the 26th, but we need to work with planning staff as well.
Okay.
Mayor?
Yes.
Is that one time sensitive? I mean, as long as everyone knows it's sort of going through the process, whether they get it the 26th or the first week of March?
Yes, I don't think it is time sensitive within that time frame.
A motion to approve both.
Second.
Motion is to approve both, one for the 12th and one for the 26th. Have a card. Mr. Wall?
This item about the North San Jose Traffic Impact Fee Incentive Program is part and parcel to the hypocrisy I just mentioned. Here you're undercutting the legs of the Department of Transportation Director because he's repeatedly said that they need at least $1 billion to start repairing streets throughout the city of San Jose. Here, you're taking away much-needed fees for the Department of Transportation by conferring a benefit onto these two companies that basically violate your green vision and violate the urban village philosophy and the other euphoric aspects associated with getting rid of cars. So this is a hypocrisy here. I think that it should not be. I applaud Councilmember Oliverio because he has consistently voted against allowing this business to go on. And in the future, you're going to create so much traffic headaches. Somebody might even construct a monument for you out of hate because of this traffic that you're going to create in North San Jose. Now, with reference to the Sam Liccardo's memo about the high-rises, there's a material misrepresentation in there, and it says substantial anticipated growth in population resulting in a substantial net reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and vehicle miles traveled over any alternative. That, sir, is in the boundary between a material misrepresentation and a bold-faced lie. Okay? Because people are not going to get out of their cars, they're going to have electric vehicles, and we already see the results of all high-density living projects in the city. They create blight in the surrounding neighborhoods because people park their cars on the streets because you and the administration confer benefits to these developers by not having the necessary car parks. But we see previously Samsung and Cisco get their car parks.
Sorry, your time is up. Includes the public testimony on that. We have a motion to move both items forward. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. Those are approved. That's item 5 and 6. Taking us to item H3, a request to amend the Transportation Environment Committee work plan.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion to approve. I understand that the request to consider a name change at the water pollution control plant's already been worked on. This isn't the launch of a big branding marketing campaign or anything like that. It's a relatively straightforward name change that's already had staff work done on it, so I think that's okay. We have one request to speak. Mr. Wall.
Sir, as you are the chairman of the Treatment Plant Advisory Committee and vice mayor is a member of TPAC as well as the assistant city manager, I hold this item to be up for public ridicule on the basis of what was testimony given at the T&E committee on Monday. The main issue at the plant, sir, as you very well know, is engines and power. Here at T&E, they predict a 2-year time frame to install the new next generation of power out at the plant. Sir, this is not acceptable. Here you have a fly-by-night department that is so incompetent, they focus in on a name change when they should be finding ways and incentives to compress the time period to get those gas turbine generators installed and operational before heavy wet weather flows turn Alviso into a lake of brown. And I'm telling you, Mr. Mayor, I'm very much concerned. We got through 2 wet weather flows at Water Pollution Control, all right. But, you know, 2 years out, sir, that is not acceptable. If a freeway collapses in Southern California and they give incentives to the contractors to get that thing up, the new freeway built, and they do it and they get a profit at it, use the same methodology for these engines before you go from the guru of green to the clown of brown. And I don't mean that disrespectful, sir. I'm very much concerned about water pollution control, and I'm very much concerned about the idiocy that is shown by the management of that department. Thank you.
That concludes public comment. We have a motion to approve. I'd just like to say that the manager of that department has done extraordinary things under very difficult circumstances. We've had quite a few discussions about that, and the City Council has been very supportive of the work that needs to be done. I'm sure we'll continue to support the management. On the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed. That's approved. Taking us to open forum, I believe. Jordan Trigg.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm the owner of Jack's Bar and Lounge, just less than a mile from here. I've owned it since 2007, and right now I'm dealing with the legal non-conforming permit due to the 1984 ordinances that were changed. The bar's been in existence since before even on city records. There's no records dating back to the 40s that have it, and right now I'm dealing with proving that it's a bar, that it's been open from 6 a.m. till 2 a.m., and also that the patio has been in use, in existence, dating back to a time where I have to find information when I was 4 years old. And it's already known through the community that the bar's been there. I also have, who will speak shortly, the landlord that's owned it since 1974, the bar. And basically, it's I've been unable to use the patio and since May. And I've submitted all necessary documents to get the legal non-conforming permit, and it's still dragging 9 months later, which has lost in jobs, 3 to 5 jobs, full-time jobs, not to mention a tax revenue for sales tax alone of nearly $20,000, and then also community and less donations I'm able to make. I donate to the Silicon Valley Roller Derby girls every year or every month. We do their after parties there for their events, and now they're doing their after party events in Santa Clara, so business outside of San Jose. Same with the beer walk. I organize the beer walk, which is a quarterly event that raises money for different business associations. Usually about $3,000 to $4,000 per event is raised, which is a huge help since there is no more redevelopment money. I'm vice president of the Japantown Business Association. Through the beer walks and the wine walks that we organize and that I'm able to host from Jack's Bar, we're able to raise more money than anything else, actually double their normal net revenue per year for just that business association alone. And now I've done them elsewhere outside of the city of San Jose because it's easier to do, such as Campbell, Los Gatos, and up the peninsula.
Sorry, your time is up.
Okay.
Amy Okagaki.
We purchased the commercial property on Taylor Street in 1974, and at that time, when we whitewashed the building, cleaned it to repaint, we noticed that Orlando's Bar and Grill had been there since the 40s. So it had been a bar and a restaurant. Now it's a bar and a beauty salon. We have always had that patio for barbecues, parties, different events for the community near Japantown or on the peripheral of Japantown. I really would like to see that patio again used, and because it was an integral part of the business. And it has hurt Jordan very much because he is not able to use it. And I hope you would reconsider the opening of that patio for use again. Thank you.
Aaron Resendez.
Aaron Resendez. I'm here in support of Jack Spar. I've been working with them for the last 2 months, and we've been working all the issue with planning. Planning is, they have done a great job, trying to help us, but we had a response this morning that I did not agree with that response. The response is about the patio. The legal non-conformity is okay to the bar, but not to the patio. So how can you, cut a business in half? We cannot continue, if like Jordan said, 3 to 5 jobs. If we continue having a small business like this, there is no way to grow. There is no way to get tax revenue to get more police. There is no more tax to get other city employees. So please help us reconsider this decision with the planning department. So nothing to say against them, just about the issue. We do not agree with that issue. Thank you.
David Wall.
I wasn't going to speak about this, but you did raise it. Back to water pollution control, sir. You made a statement, you gave testimony that you and the council are pleased with the great steps of Environmental Services Department with reference to water pollution control, when in all reality, it's through incompetent council decisions for years that have allowed that plant to deteriorate to such a state that you can't even keep plant operators out there. That was because of your Measure B interference. Now, people out there, the citizens, don't realize that I have a pretty commanding knowledge of water pollution control that probably exceeds most of the council, if not all the council combined. Sir, I've been going to TPAC since 1992, so if you want to tell the people when you start going, that's one issue. But under no circumstance, the biggest problem with the city is the city charter with reference to section 411.1 that allows the city manager to appoint these acting directors. These acting directors and whatnot come in, they appoint their friends, then they come up with harebrained projects like the Environmental Innovation Center, sir. How much is that over budget as I sit here today? Or, sir, the advanced water treatment using the sewer service and use charge where you have 2 independent government agencies threaten to sue you if they are forced to participate further in the funding of this farce. So tread lightly on water pollution control plant issues because there are, you're just one lawsuit away from shutting down your South Bay water recycling program. And I want my money back, as a matter of fact, for the misuse of the sewer service and use charge. And so when I hear that you say that council's happy with these appointments, you've got to go back to the original flaw in this city, and that's that city charter needs to be amended to where council members have greater say in the appointment of these directors of these super departments. So, sir, with all respect, I disagree with you. Thank you.
Bud Lamonico.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members, folks in the committee. I'm here on behalf of Jordan, the gentleman known as Jack's Bar, and on a personal note, I have had the experience of being there on numerous occasions over many, many years, and in particular, more recently in the last 20 years or so, the fundraising that goes on the patio that is now closed, and that's the issue I'm speaking to, in support of getting it reopened from the standpoint of the work and the help he has been and the bar has been to the community in giving back to nonprofits. In particular, he's helped out our Police Crime Stoppers program. He's also helped out the Hispanic Development Corporation and a number of other youth programs that I'm aware of and have actually been a party to. So we ask that any efforts that can be made to help get that cleared and reopened on the patio would be most appreciated. The other issue is the tonnage that is not given to the San Jose Conservation Corps and the recycling program has been affected due to the reduction in business there at the at Jack's Bar and the non-use of the patio due to the space in consuming area, because when it's full inside, no folks can go out to the patio for an overflow. Therefore, they are turned away because of the occupancy numbers. Anyway, I thank you for that. Have a great day.
Thank you. That concludes public testimony. I'd like to give staff a chance to comment on the issue about Jack's Bar. It's not on our agenda for us to discuss or take any action on, but I at least want to give a chance for staff to tell us what the status is.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Joe Horwell, Planning, Building, Code Enforcement. We did send, as Aaron noted, a email this morning that we do believe the bar is legal nonconforming. The patio is really the issue that we have not been able to find evidence that would work for legal nonconforming status. We have suggested going through the conditional use permit process. We would go through and do an expedited process, but I would just kind of for the benefit of the public, this is the result of a code enforcement case. This was not something where staff was looking for a business to go and shut down. There is a neighbors in the neighborhood that are concerned about the noise and activities with the patio and have made a complaint, and that is why we're here today. A use permit would resolve that once and for all of what is legal and what's not legal and operational hours. So that's been a recommendation, and I'll talk with Aaron and Jordan.
I had a question about outdoor patios. I know that anytime you have outdoor business, outdoor noise, outdoor whatever, the neighbors often are unhappy for a variety of reasons. We've seen a lot of those. So is it the kind of use that's outdoors that creates a need for a conditional use permit, or any kind of use outdoors would create a need for a conditional use permit?
Any activity out within 150 feet of residential triggers the need for a conditional use permit. And so that has been long on the books, and I think that's been part of trying to sort out, was the patio ever in existence as part of the bar before the city's regulations came in with that requirement, and we have not been able to find documentation of it. It is an area that would have triggered building permits because of the assembly use and exiting required of that space. So that's part of the challenges, that while it may have been there, there isn't kind of official approvals for it, and that makes it hard to then do the legal nonconforming.
Okay, and then the city attorney, what are the standards for determination of legal nonconforming as opposed to conforming?
It's a use that existed before the regulations came into place, and if you have a continuous use that no longer would qualify, you're allowed to continue in that use.
So if we change the zoning code today, somebody that was okay yesterday can still continue unless they need to do something?
That's correct, and I think what the staff tries to look at is putting together the record to show there's evidence, and I think in this case there isn't, as I understand it, evidence really one way to the other. I mean, I think a lot of it is relied upon by testimony and anecdotal, and because the documentation doesn't really exist, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is one of the items that Councilmember Liccardo has asked that we look at, the standards that we use for legal nonconforming and the ability to use testimony or representations of individuals in that legal nonconforming process. Other cities have something like that, but it's a public process that happens like at the Planning Commission. That way all parties are involved in that discussion and not just staff with a property owner that may have impacts to someone else who wouldn't know that we were giving those rights away.
I had some of these cases when I was a council member with Alviso, because there are a lot of old businesses out in Alviso,
Yes.
and they weren't all that big on record keeping before they became part of the city, so it was pretty difficult to figure out one way or the other.
So archaeology.
Planning archaeology, okay. Any other comments or questions from the committee or the staff on this? Yes.
So Joe, it sounds like the option of allowing oral history would be valuable, but then you'd have two people that might have contradictory stories. But with that said, since these processes can take a long time, is there a point where you just say, you know what, I don't have enough data, but I'll kick it to the council and let them make the decision based on what we have?
And that was the comment Aaron and I had Saturday before last at the budget meeting as we talked about this issue. As staff, we were trying to go through and see if there's a way to do the legal nonconforming rather than a use permit. The use permit will be, it's expensive. So we were trying to deal with it through that LNC process. But it's just, at some point, you kind of just have to say, there isn't anything more we're going to find that's going to solve it. And so that's what Laurel sent this morning, is just saying, let's bring it to a closure and move on with getting the patio legalized.
Thank you. I just appreciate that, because I think, the council members might have to take that decision of when someone moves into a neighborhood next to an existing use that everyone's been fine with, and then one individual moves in to disagree with it, then, it's sort of a buyer beware or renter beware type of situation.
And we're
Thank you.
dealing with one in your district that has been really troublesome.
And that would be lawsuit beware, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me just say, I would not look forward to having the council being a decider of fact, with putting people under oath and taking testimony.
Planning Commission.
An administrative hearing officer
We try
might
to
be a
save you
better
that.
choice. Okay, that concludes the open forum, concludes our meeting. We're adjourned.